Alright, I'm just gonna read this out to you guys. I may or not add some inflections. Chapter 8. Thieves, Heretics, Whores. If this story is to be something resembling my book of deeds, we must begin at the beginning. At the heart of who I truly am. To do this, you must remember that before I was anything else, I was one of the Edema Ruh. I think it's Ruh. Contrary to popular belief, not all traveling performers are of the Ruh. My troupe was not of some poor batch of murmurers japing at crossroads for pennies, singing for our suppers. We were court performers, Lord Greyfallow's men. Our arrival in most towns was more of an event than the midwinter pageantry and Solenade games rolled together. Oh, music off. Oh yeah, that's right, thanks. Sorry, story time, right? Isn't that exciting? Maybe that's something we can incorporate here. It'll both help work on my vocals. I'm going to be taking some voice acting classes here pretty damn soon. And I can get some... Yeah, hang on. We are at the beach. Alright, here we go. Where was I? Oh, there were usually at least 8 wagons in our troupe, and well over 24 jest performers, actors and acrobats, musicians and hand musicians, jugglers and jesters. My family. My father was a better actor and musician than any have ever seen. My mother had a natural gift for words. They were both beautiful, with dark hair and easy laughter. They were raw, down to their bones, and that, really, is all that needs to be said. Looking to smash some turtles. Save perhaps that my mother was a noble before she was a trooper. She told me that my father had lured away from the miserable, dreary hell with sweet music and sweeter words. I could only assume she meant 3 Crossings, where we went to visit relatives when I was very young, once. My parents were never really married, by which I mean they never really bothered making their relationship official with any church. I'm not embarrassed by the fact. They considered themselves married and did not see much point in announcing it to any government or God. I respect that. In truth, they seemed more content and faithful than many officially married couples I've ever seen. Our patron was Baron Greyfallow, and his name opened many doors that would ordinarily be closed to the Edema Ruh. In return, we wore his colors, green and grey, and added to his reputation wherever we went. Once a year we spent 2 span at his manor, entertaining him within his household. It was a happy childhood, growing up in the center of an endless fair. My father would read to me from the great monologues during the long wagon rides between towns, reciting mostly from memory. His voice would roll down the road for a quarter mile. I remember reading along, coming in on his secondary parts. My father would encourage me to try particularly good sections myself, and I learned to love the feel of good words. My mother and I would make songs together. Other times my parents would act out romantic dialogues while I followed along in books. They seemed like games at the time. Little did I know how cunningly I was being taught. I was a curious child, quick with questions and eager to learn. With acrobats and actors as my teachers, it is little wonder that I never grew to dread lessons as most children do. The roads were safer in those days, but cautious folk always would still travel with our troop for safety's sake. They supplemented my education. I learned an eclectic smattering of Commonwealth law from a traveling barrister, too drunk or too pompous to realize he was lecturing an 8-year-old. I learned woodcraft from a huntsman named Lacklith, who traveled with us for nearly a whole season. I learned the sordid inner workings of the royal court of Modeg from a courtesan. As my father used to say, call a jack, a spade, but always call a whore a lady. Their lives are hard enough, and it never hurts to be polite. Oh, There you go. Thank you for hanging out for that. Ready to rock. But yeah, I thought that was a particularly interesting sort of what does he have to say as an author? What was his like input?